This podcast is brought to you by Rising Phoenix alongside the Milano Cortina 2026 Paralympic Winter Games.
You need to know yourself. To be visually impaired in Paralpine skiing, you have to be a little bit crazy. We are 120, 130, 35 kilometers per hour, so we are pretty fast. It's my dream to win in front of Italy, in front of my friends, and my family.
This episode of What Does It Take is brought to you by PyeongChang, a proud partner of the Paralympic movement. PyeongChang believes in the power of the everyday champions who inspire us all, and we're excited to share the stories of athletes who embodied that spirit. Good morning, world. It is another beautiful day here in Iowa. On today's episode, we get to speak with para-alpine skier Giacomo Bertagnolli. He races down a mountain at 130 kilometers per hour with only 5% vision. He has to rely on trust, precision, and nerve. Today, he's speaking to us from the mountains near Cortina, where he shares what it truly takes to ski on the limit. And he is on today, Rising Phoenix. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Matt.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing real good. My first question is going to be really difficult. No, just joking. But I want you to tell me about you. Who is Giacomo Bertagnolli?
I mean, that's the most difficult one. I'm Giacomo. I'm 27 right now, so I'm getting older, but I'm still a boy sometimes because I really like to do whatever I like. So I live in the mountains since I was a kid. I tried everything to get injured, but fortunately it didn't happen yet. So some friends told me that I'm a little bit crazy sometimes, and that's true. I'm a little bit crazy, but to be visually impaired in Paralpine skiing, you have to be a little bit crazy. So I think that's the right mood, and this mood is my mood since I was a kid. Now it's on the skis, but when I was younger, I was like playing hockey or also climbing, and I tried everything, all kind of difficult and dangerous sports. So I really like the danger, and I try just to have fun every day and improve myself every day. So that's my mood. I mean, that's my mood. Yeah.
I think you and I are going to get along very well because I too love danger and adrenaline. I was born without any arms, and so now that you kind of has a visual of me with no arms, do you think I have what it takes to be a para-alpine skier?
I think yes, absolutely. Probably, it's completely different disabilities, but in both cases, you have to just trust yourself. We have some skiers that are without the arms, and I think they have to trust a lot on in their abilities. For me, it's pretty different because I've born with visual impairment. I'm not blind, but I'm visual impaired, just visual impaired. And the most difficult part is starting. But when you start and when you try, then you did and you do the first step, then it's all down road. So
I think the hardest thing for me would probably be the fall. Because I don't have arms to protect myself if I decided to tumble. But that being said, when I was younger, I loved skiing. I was always the guy who would go to the top of our little ski slope in Iowa, and I was always the guy who wanted to just be the first to go down it and the fastest to go down it. So I was just straight line. You grew up close to a world-renowned ski and learning center, and you learned by the age of 3. I feel like that's pretty young.
Yeah, I was a little kid. The first time I put my ski, I was 3 years old, and it was my dad that said, "We will try skiing today." But the feeling that I had the first time I was on the slope, I can't remember it, but I have some very nice videos that my father did to me. Uh, I looked like very happy on the snow with the skis on my feet. So
When you talk about 5% vision, explain to me just a little bit, and the people who are listening, like, how much vision is that actually? How much can you actually see?
okay, yeah, that's a difficult question because I have no comparison to do because I born with this visual disability. So I think that to explain it easy, I can see the details. So, for example, to recognize someone at the other part of the street, I can see there is someone, but I can see or recognize that maybe it's my friend, you know. Or when I have to read, when I was at school, or also on my phone. I can read the messages, what I'm typing down. So I need to zoom in to be sure I'm typing the right letters. Fortunately, I have pretty good, not perfect, but pretty good peripheral view. So that helps me a lot to move around and to know where I am. But it's all the 95% is missing, so it's not easy as it seems. I always try to find out my strategies um, to be the most autonomous I could, and I think I did a great job because in the lifetime I can do not everything because for example I can drive for sure, and that's something that I really hate because I would really like to drive my car, but the details is what is missing, and but I'm used to see like that, so it's not a problem for me, at all.
I think that should be something that you try at least sometime in your life, is find a big open field with nothing to hit and have your friends with you to guide you and take your car for a little spin.
Yeah, that's gonna be the next goal after Paralympics,
Don't do it before, but after.
No,
Then
after, just
please,
after. Yeah, yeah. And if I crash the
please,
car,
it
it's
wasn't you.
yeah, yeah. It wasn't me. I didn't see. I
So,
didn't see it. The the excuse is always I didn't see it. Sorry.
listen, I feel like I want to be in the car with you now when you do this, because I think that would be amazing.
Or otherwise, you drive and I tell you where to go.
so, so that if we have an accident, we can
Yeah,
let's have
for sure,
one friend
for sure.
that has no disability, so we can blame it on them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. So, at an early age, you found out that you only had 5% vision, and you talked earlier about kind of loving adrenaline. What made you decide to be like, okay, I can't see that well. Dad, please sign me up for para ice hockey.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't para ice hockey. It was ice hockey, just ice hockey.
Regular
Yeah,
ice hockey.
regular one. Yeah, because I was very young. I was very very young. So when we played, we were so fast, and we were just playing, not to win, but just playing, and it was good. But and then when you grow up and your team want to win the championship, or to do a very good a good play, and you start to miss the I don't know how to say it in English, the il disco in Italiano. It started to be a little bit difficult to me, and I didn't want to be the one that is just sitting on the outside waiting for play. So that was the decision that took me to the Paralpine skiing, because since I was 12, I didn't even know that Paralympics was existing. So when I discovered that I could race and participate in some good races events with other people that had my impairment, my visual impairment, everything changed, because finally I could be competitive and I could race against someone that has more or less my disability.
When you made that decision, and I'm sure that the second you did, you felt right at home. What kind of support do you think your father gave you to help you kind of chase that dream of yours?
I think all my family helped me to believe in my dream, because since I discovered it, my goal was to compete in a super high level. I really want, I'm a very competitive guy, so I always wanted to to prove that I'm the best one. So I remember that the first years I started with skiing with the guide in a slope, in GS or slalom, or also super G and downhill. It was super strange, because it was something that I'm not used. I wasn't used to do. Yeah, I did all the races. National Cup, Italian National Cup, also a French National Cup, a European Cup, to do the points to get in the national team as soon as possible, because my parents were they did a lot of sacrifice to give me this kind of opportunity, and I didn't want to waste it. So
Once you decided this is what you're going to do, you kind of make the national team. Earlier, you talked about a guide.
I can choose whoever I want. I mean, it could be my father or a friend of mine, everybody. The most important thing when you choose someone is as a guide, is you have to think the same, and you have to be friends, because I'm spending more time with my guide than instead of my girlfriend, because we are always abroad to ski and training, and second point is you have to choose someone that is skiing better than you, for sure. Otherwise, the guy is gonna stop you, and you can push to your limits. I changed more than one guide since I started. I changed, I think, 4 guides. And now I'm skiing with Andrea. That's a very, very good skier and a very good person. And we have the same goal, And when we win, we party together. And when we lose, because we are not always winning, we just support each other, and we help each other to come back stronger. I think that's the best part of visually impaired alpine skiing, because in alpine skiing everyone is racing just for himself. But when you are a visually impaired and you have to race with someone else, the most important thing is to share that goal with your guide. And I think is super cool, because when you win, you are not alone. You can share the winning with someone that helped you to arrive there, and that's I think the best part ever.
Does your guide ski beside you?
No, he's skiing in front of me, So I follow I
Okay.
follow him, and we are connected with a Bluetooth device that is built inside the helmet. So it's like to be on the phone. The guide has to tell me everything I need to know about the slope, about the snow, if it's bumpy, if it's icy, if it turns a little bit more, so I have to do a wider turn, for example. And on the other hand, I have to tell him if he has to push more or if he has to wait for me, because maybe I did, some mistakes skiing down. So it's not easy, as you can imagine, because you have to think about you and your skiing, but you have to think about also the guide in front of you. The guide just go too far, you can see him not very well. So he's starting to do, we call it la molla, in Italy. And when you start to do like this, so the guide is going too far, and then he has to slow down to waiting for you. Then if he slow down too much, then I have to I can push, and so we have to train a lot together. We train together because otherwise I couldn't train, and it helped me a lot, also to improve on my mentality or on my skis, and that's nice. That's great.
Just how often does a equipment malfunction, let's say like a Bluetooth in the headset, cause problems?
I mean, sometimes it happens, especially when we are doing downhill or super G, that we are farther one from the other. Because sometimes if we have a jump and the guy jumps, we can hear each other. But the most important thing is when you do the inspection, we know that we could lose the contact between us, and that. So I usually do like this. I close my eyes and I keep skiing, keep going. So that's the best way to. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's pretty perfect because, you're putting all of your trust in this guide to give you the right commands. Almost, I guess the only thing I can relate to is almost like rally racing, where you have
Yeah,
somebody
exactly.
telling you every single
Exactly.
turn, which means I think you would be a good rally racer. And I feel like you could drive a car just fine because you are so keen to listening to instructions from a guide.
Yeah. I mean, on the car, I think is not as easy on the skis, because on the skis you have some margin of error. uh, but it's kind of, the example is pretty good.
How fast are you traveling down the hill, the slope, the mountain?
Yeah, it depends from the disciplines, because we are doing all the disciplines, from the most technical one, that is the slalom, to the fastest one, that is the downhill. So in slalom we are not so fast, but in downhill we are skiing. Sometimes in the fastest part of the slopes, we are 120, 130, 35 kilometers per hour. So we are pretty fast. And then we have to think about, the slope, if it's bumpy. So for me, the most difficult part is when we have some jumps, or bumpy parts, because I can see it, the slope, the ground. So uh, it's not easy to understand when I have to, to push myself forward to jump. So we have to train on everything. And Andrea is always telling me when I have to jump.
Mm-hmm. So
Sometimes he turn back and he watch me, so to be sure I'm right behind him.
you're doing in miles per hour, that's 70-ish miles per hour. Down a
Yeah.
hill, and then you gotta make sure that he tells you to jump in the that is just incredible that you have that connection, with him, and the fact that you guys are so good together. You can definitely tell you put in a lot of time, a lot of work. Is there anything with your guide that you practice, like, before, you go down the slope? Like, do you guys run it through your head? Do you get to go down the slope ahead of time and kind of mark out, like, little things mentally about the course?
After inspection and just before we start, we focus on the course, not all the gates, but just the main part of the course. On our mind, we see us, skiing, and the how we have to approach for a turn or a jump, and it helps a lot. And we are doing it together.
So I would like to talk about your journey to the games, and what did you think it took to get to the Paralympics after you began taking up para alpine skiing?
Since I was a kid, I wanted to be very competitive, and I wanted
Mhm.
to show everybody that I'm the best. And if you have this kind of thing in mind, everything you do is just because you want to be there competing with the best skiers in the world. You train with a different focus, train with a very good motivation, and it helps a lot, because, for example, now we have we are approaching the Paralympics, and I'm super happy about that. But I started thinking about the Paralympics, the Milano Cortina Paralympic Games, 4 years ago, and in 4 years, everything can happen. So if you have something in your mind that helps you to keep focus on your main goal, it helps a lot. So you have to find something to fight for.
I
Yeah.
see in here, and once again, I feel like you and I are if we live closer, I think we would be really good friends because going through your story, I'm really understanding that you and I are very similar. Uh, you take your approach into life, into sport, what you call is adapted everything. Tell me about your mindset with when you say adapted everything.
You need to know yourself if you want to find a good version of yourself. You need to know yourself very well. I know that I can do much better on the skis, and that's why I'm keep trying to train and keep trying to improve every day. But I also know that I have some limits due to my visual impairment. I know that probably I'm not gonna ski like an Odermatt or a Franzoni that is doing pretty well in the Olympics right now because of my visual impairment. But even if I know that I'm not gonna be as good as them on the skis, it doesn't mean that I can try,
Hmm.
to getting better every day. So I need to do my best. I need to do and to try to face, sometimes also the fear of improving, because when you improve, everything is getting more difficult. When you improve a little bit, it means that you go faster on the skis. And in my case, when you go faster on the skis, also the gates are getting closer to you faster. And
Hmm.
it's difficult for me to see the gaze, so
Hmm.
I need to face the fear of uh, getting injured or fall down, because it happens if you want to get better. So I know that there are some limits, and probably I can push over the limits, but I can try, and if you try every day, you are getting better a little bit.
In 2013, you started your journey to be the best in the world, and then in 2016 and 17 is where I feel like you kind of made your splash by winning a world title. It was that kind of like for your competitors, like, oh, he has arrived.
Yeah, it was just the beginning, because that was my first goal. But after that World Championships, you have another one, and after the other one, you have the first Paralympic Games, and after it, you have the Paralympic Games at home. So every time you have a different goal and something that helps you to keep trying and keep pushing. After Milano Cortina, I will have to find out a new goal, and it's gonna be difficult because after Milano Cortina, I mean, racing at
Yeah.
home. Yeah.
Archery is on the list if you want to come to LA. Um,
Uh, that's
the
that's
what?
it's already on my mind, but I have to find out some summer sport, and that's it's on my mind. I would like to do both Paralympics in summer and winter. It's gonna be tricky,
Mm.
but it sounds great in my mind.
What kind of mental strength or mental development do you think it took to get from where you started to where you're at right now?
Every athlete always focus on training a lot in the gym, training a lot on the slope, trying to getting better, in what he's doing. But sometimes they forgot to think about the mind, because the mind, in my opinion, is what you have to train more. Because
Mm.
you can be a very good trained athlete, But when you are at the start of the race, maybe at the Paralympics, and you feel the pressure and you didn't train your mind to focus, to stay calm, to just think about your abilities. It's not so easy to face the race and face everything in the right mood. So if you don't train your mind, it's gonna be very very difficult for you to achieve your goals or your dreams. And uh, that's why I always try, every race or every training, I always try to think about the I think more on my mind instead of my
Mhm.
on my feet or my skills on the skis, because I know that I can ski very well if I want, but if my mind that day says that I'm not good, I'm not gonna ski well.
What do you think you did between games to stay mentally sharp?
The best thing is just to focus on something else, or trying to do something else. For example, in summer I just do windsurf or climbing, or I just go for a trip, on vacation, uh, and be- and I don't think about the Paralympics or the skiing. Then when I come back and I'm on the skis, I just focus on the skis and how to get better on my skis, on the skis. But I'm not sure that focusing just on a goal is good for an athlete. You have to think about something else. And I have for example, the first Paralympics I did was in 2018 in PyeongChang, and it was the first one. So I just arrived there with no expectation. I just wanted to have fun, That mood helped me to. I didn't want to win there. I mean, I wanted to win, but I didn't have it in my mind. I was there. Was already a very good opportunity to be there, and so it helped a lot to stay calm and focus on the races. And I won 4 medals. And the second Paralympics in 2022, it was completely different because I wanted to confirm my results, to do better. So I wanted to win more. And but I was also a much better skier, and I was older, a little bit older, so it was a completely different mentality.
In Beijing, you were honored to be flag bearer. That has got to feel amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. In Beijing, I was a flag bearer, and it was so cool, to be in the stadium with the Italian flag. But it was pretty tough because I was watching to move the flag in the right way,
Uh-huh.
and I wanted to watch around too, because it's a huge stadium, and I didn't want to watch only the flag. So when I have a look around, uh, my flag just hit the mascot in the part that was dancing, but nobody saw that because I wasn't on TV in that point of the stadium, so nobody knows that. But I hit the mascot and I told him, sorry, I didn't see you. Yeah.
That's awesome. So in 2018, that was your very first Paralympics. How was that for you being your very first games?
Yeah, for sure, the first game is something unforgettable, because especially in Paralympics, it's completely different from the World Cup or the World Championship that we were used to do, because of the publics, the all the people cheering for us, and then you know that everybody is watching you from all over the world, and your family is watching you and cheering for you. Your classmate, because I still was studying, because I was 19, are cheering for you. It was pretty huge event for me, and it was so cool to be there. The thing that helped me a lot, to face in the right mood all the Paralympics there, was that at the first race we won a bronze medal in downhill, and it helped me a lot because I was already achieved my goal, to be there and winning a medal, because it was a bronze, but it was a medal, and it was very important to me. And after that medal, everything was easier because I didn't have to demonstrate anything else to nobody. I had four other opportunities to do well, and I didn't want to miss them.
You never forget the first time you go to a Paralympic Games. That is, uh, in my mind, something that I never forgot either. But then you go from this great moment of your very first games and all those feelings, and then the next game was in Beijing, and it was during COVID.
Yeah.
So how did that kind of games in your head, not necessarily compared to the first one, but like how did you handle it? What was tough about it, I guess?
In Beijing was my second Paralympic Games, and it was totally different because I had a new guide. That was Andrea, that is still guiding me. So I had a completely new goal. I wanted to win with him, and I wanted to improve. The medals I won the last time. So it was a pretty ambitious, because in 2018 I won two gold, one silver, and one bronze. But we handled it, and we won two golds and two silvers, and was super cool to win so many medals in such an event with a different guide. We had COVID there, and I remember it that when I arrived in Beijing, they did me the test, and I was positive. So uh, I was closed in my room without seeing anybody, and I couldn't even train. My guide and my teammates were in another room, stuck in another room, because I had my room just for me, and it was crazy. Fortunately, then the test was negative, so then I compete. So I was a little bit scared about that, because everything. 4 years of training where just for a positive or negative test, it wasn't good. But after I result negative, then everything was good, and we just race with the right mood, and yeah, we win. Yeah. So I hope that we are
For
gonna do the same this year. Yeah.
in 2022, you were flag bearer for Italy, but now this year, 2026, is the 50th anniversary of the Winter Paralympics, and it's being held in Italy. And you love Italy very, very much. So, what kind of
Yeah.
joy or excitement does that bring to you, knowing that the 50th anniversary is held in your country?
I think that is a very huge opportunity for us, for me and for my teammates, because having the Paralympics here is something that probably is not gonna happen again for us. And probably we will have our friends, our family coming watching us on the right at the bottom on the slope. That's something that I really miss uh, the last Paralympics, because we were in PyeongChang and in Beijing, so we were so far away. I think this is gonna be a great opportunity to us to have fun, to race in front of our friends, our parents.
Having those memories with your family will relax you,
Yeah, a little
and I
bit.
think I think that's going to help you chase your dream of what you have for Milano Cortina planned, which, from my understanding, is that you have a big goal this time of winning 5 gold medals, not just trying to win 4. So tell me, why 5?
Yeah, my goal is you spoiled it, but yeah, it's to win five medals. Hopefully, I hope it's gonna be 5 goals. But that's my dream, to win in front of Italy, in front of my friends, and my family. That I think is gonna worth every day of training, every day of every bad day I had during this for last year. I mean, I just want to go there and enjoy the moment. And if I'm gonna do like this, probably I'm gonna do pretty good.
As a poster boy for the games, what do you hope your legacy is that you leave for the 2026 Milano Cortina Games?
My goal is not to just to win or to compete, but it's also to give some good motivation to the people that are gonna watch me. Uh, People that can be Paralympic or not. I don't care. But I remember when I started that I didn't even know the existing of the Paralympic Games or the Paralympic world. It was tough, So having someone, maybe the kids that are watching me racing down the on the slope and winning maybe a medal, I could help them to to find something to fight for and to have a dream, to trust in themselves, and maybe to start skiing or doing whatever sport they want, because sometimes it's the most difficult part is to start, but if you have
Mhm.
someone that you are getting inspired, then it's easier. And I want to be the person that is gonna inspire the kids or the people, giving them a little bit strong to strength to try do something else.
I think you're definitely going to do that. You're
Hope so.
already
Yeah.
you are already doing that. Tell me something, maybe in a short sentence about what you love about Italy.
I mean, definitely the food, because the food in Italy is the best one. I'm pretty sure about that. Here where I live, we have so many wonderful mountains. Like the Dolomites
Mhm.
are pretty known in all over the world, and we have so many beauty in Italy. I mean, the Olympics here and the Paralympics here are gonna help, other countries to know better Italy and Italian people that are pretty crazy and funny.
As the whole world is converging on Italy right now. So as a traveler coming in to watch the Paralympics, to watch you compete, what's one thing you're gonna tell them that they should either go see or go try?
It's difficult because there are so many things that I would recommend. First of all, to come to see us in Cortina. If you have the opportunity to come, is good to see people like us trying to do their best and compete for something that is worth it. And second, just have a couple of weeks, you know, have a good holiday here is I think is a good idea.
Well, I think having a holiday in Italy would be amazing. I believe that I will be coming over during the Paralympics, and I get about 5 or 6 days there. So my plan is to make snowmen or snow angels at least somewhere in Italy. So I got two more questions for you, then we'll wrap up. What has your sport given you? Where would you be without it?
I really like to ski, and I probably won't stop after the Milano Cortina Paralympic Games, because I really want to to continue to having fun. But if I have to think about how could be my life without the skiing, probably I would do I would do some other sport like I don't know, climbing or windsurf, because I really like to do everything that is crazy or dangerous. So probably I would do just a different kind of sport, but for me, sport is everything. It helps me to to have a very good memories and good feeling with myself. So I would definitely do some other sport, and a little bit traveling too, because I really like to travel.
So I do understand you want to see the world.
Yeah,
Is it
absolutely.
true you have a little desire to want to maybe work in a bar somewhere?
I don't know, maybe. Yeah. If when I'm gonna getting tired of skiing, maybe I'm gonna open some chiringuito on the beach, and you know. I don't know. I don't know.
Listen, if you
Yeah.
if you open that, I will definitely
You are
would love
already
to
invited.
be
Don't worry. Yeah.
love to come try it out. Looking on the outside, just my hearing your
Yeah.
story and who you are, I think you're a fighter. I think to do what you do, you got to wake up and be a fighter, and you have to learn to overcome failure, and you have to chase what you want to do, which is living and live your life to its fullest. And when I look at you, that's how I visualize what it would take to do what you do.
Every athlete has the same, but every day I have to face, to some problems, something that is not going like I expected, and it's sometimes you want to quit, maybe because it's too difficult, is super tough, to continue. But then you think about everything you did to get there, to get that result, and so you just think you can quit now. You can quit right now. You have to keep pushing, to uh, and trying to not to quit. So that's what I'm saying to myself when I feel sad or bad. I'm just saying to myself that I can't quit now. I still have to fight. I still need to fight, because if I quit, I lose. If I try, I can't lose. If you try and maybe you don't win, you are not a loser. But if you quit, you are definitely a loser. So I don't know if I'm gonna win a medal or two or five or none in the Paralympic Games here in Cortina. I really would like to, but the most important thing is to arrive there and be sure that you did everything you could do, uh, and and that's the most important thing. I don't want to waste this huge opportunity just because there are some days that are not doing great, because it happens to everybody, and the difference is between someone that he quits and somebody that he continue to push and believe in himself and in his dream. So I think, guys, I'm not gonna quit.
That is very powerful. Uh, I'm excited to see how your performance goes. But before we let you go, I know that you are a competitor. So we play a game with all the athletes that come on the show where I'm going to ask you a series of quick questions. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. This is Zero Chill with Giacomo Bertagnolli. One part of Italy that everyone should visit.
Trentino Alto Adige, for sure.
One Italian food that everyone should try.
Pasta alla matriciana.
Yummy. Espresso or cappuccino?
Cappuccino.
Spaghetti, linguine, or tortellini?
Spaghetti, but if you are in Emilia Romagna, tortellini.
I'm going to have to try both.
Yeah.
One thing viewers will love about para-alpine skiing.
The athletes.
The toughest thing about your training.
To wake up in the morning.
Sorry. That is 100% true, I think, with a lot of sports. If you had to switch to a different para winter sport, which one are you choosing?
Para ice hockey.
Oh. One
Yeah.
thing you do to relax.
I sleep.
Your hype song before a race.
Linkin Park.
Oh, such a good
It's
one.
not a song,
Your-
but Linkin Park mood is good.
Yeah, I like Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Your pre-race ritual or superstition.
We do like this with the guide, with my guide.
Yes.
Yeah.
You fist bump.
Yeah. We fist
yes.
bump with my guide. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so that's something I've never done before. Okay. One word. What do the Winter Paralympics mean to you?
Courage.
And finally, what does it take to be your best?
Be yourself.
Listen, Giacomo, it has been a true honor to have you on my show, Rising Phoenix. What does it take? I've been looking forward to this conversation with you for a very long time once I found out that you were going to be on here. I think you're going to have an amazing games. Your story is incredible. The fact that you have 5% visual and you go 70 miles per hour or 120 kilometers per hour down a hill is mind-blowing to me, and I think it's amazing. I want to say thanks again for being on the show, and good luck in everything that Milano Cortina has for you at the upcoming Paralympics.
Thank you so much, and see you in Cortina for sure.
Yes, I would definitely have to come find you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
And you've been listening to What Does It Take, a podcast brought to you by Rising Phoenix, alongside the Milano Cortina 2026 Paralympic Winter Games. If you like what you've listened to and want to know more about Rising Phoenix, check out the details in our show notes. This is a Harder Than You Think production. This episode is brought to you by PyeongChang, a proud partner of the Paralympic movement.